Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Dragon's Tome. This is a show where we go through chronological order the Dragon magazine of yesteryear. We know it, you know it, and follow us. We do a couple of articles, a couple of ads, just to pique some interest. With me are my two compatriots, Chopper and Rob.
Love Boat streaming on, I forget what channel, but
Oh, I thought you were
That's
just, it was a non sequitur. He's just watching Love
yeah.
Boat in the
I
background
thought
while we're doing the recording.
hijacking the show.
I think
Rob got his mic. Last time this happened, got his mic. Okay, so thankfully we'll save all the racial epitaphs that could have happened, and we are doing pay issue 140. It's December, so we have a Christmas themed magazine.
Sort of.
What do you say? What do you say we discuss this cover?
Well, obviously, it's Larry Elmore. It's the
Larry Elmore.
bee's knees, as they say.
and this will be one of the Monsters Compendium coming soon dividers that you get in the Monsters Compendium Uno. That's
Yeah.
one in English.
For you non Spanish speakers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a classic cover. It's a cleric, which is good because this issue is all about clerics. So it's actually an appropriate cover for once. Actually, it's getting better. I think ever since Roger Moore took over, I think the covers have matched the actual indoors.
Content, yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if this cleric, though, is setting up this guy to fail a second time, because this guy has not left far enough, and he's going like, whoa, what's going on over there? Do I get a second chance at this guy?
My thought was he was saying, and don't make me come back there. Like
Oh.
he's, I think he's heading away.
If we're doing quotes for the giant, mine is, "Hey baby, come over and heal me sometime."
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know where to go with that after that. Awkward
It's-
silence.
It's also what can you say about a Larry Elmore cover? He's one of the best artists in the world. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. If that was a book cover in a Kohl's, if that was a anything you see with this cover on it is gonna be like, okay, that's dynamite.
Yeah.
Dynamite. That's
Dynamite.
that's
We're
for
just
Pat.
referencing the 70s show. Ironically, Jimmy Walker was on that Love Boat episode I watched. And unironically, I seem to remember him being a better actor because he was horrible in this Love Boat.
He was probably high as fuck.
Who knows, but it was bad. I was like, oh my God, why was Jimmy Walker so popular?
Wow, he's probably better on What's Happening.
The Good Times?
Good Times. That's what it was.
With rerun.
Anyways,
Oh, yeah. I love Rerun. All right.
I've never
Yeah,
seen Good Times.
So, take it from me. It was good times.
That's for sure.
So, I think Patrick, do you think you've got the juice to bring us into our first article?
I do have the juice.
Let's have it.
I'm working on a new Adobe Acrobat, so I don't know where all my buttons are. So we're going to go to page 18.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about Savant. It's kind of a new character class for clerics, like a sub-character class, but not. They don't definitely call it a sub-character class. I guess in the article they called it a split class for magic users or clerics. I'm not exactly sure. That's not the same as a multi-class, but I remember in the first edition there was a small blurb about split classing, and at the time we just kind of brushed it off and not read it. But back on track, the Savant is basically is more of a scholar than an adventurer by trade. And after reading it, I probably would use this more for the magic user, the kind of guy. You would kind of picture him as like I kind of picture him as the Daniel from Stargate kind of idea. It was all knowledge, but not really up to adventure. You never saw the original Stargate movie.
Oh, the movie? Probably a long time ago. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the Daniel from the movie, not the TV show, because the TV show he kind of takes a turn over this way and becomes a different kind of character.
Was that Kurt Russell?
No,
Kurt
he
Russell
was in
and-
it, but it was James Spader played
James Spader was Daniel. Kurt Russell was Colonel.
Colonel.
Okay, yeah.
What was the Colonel? What was his name? Anyways, comment below if you know. Remember, no, Shepard was from Atlantis.
No, Shepard was the guy that. No, Shepard was the one that replaced MacGyver.
Yeah. Anyways, yes, savants.
But if you've seen Stargate, then that's kind of what the savant would be. Is like all this knowledge can get you out of trouble. Like if you're in a tomb and you guys are kind of lost, he can sit there and be like, "Oh, this reminds me of this kind of language, blah blah blah," and work out what's going on from there. Or this chalice looks like it belongs to whatever blah blah dynasty, and it goes from there. They talk about the cleric one. I just can't put together with the cleric one.
Right, it'd be a clerical kind of.
Yeah, it's more like what's going on, and it fits more for druids type of things, you know.
I think a cleric would be the guy who runs the library in a monastery or whatever, you know.
In a sense, but it's while itself is not a character class in itself, but it's a nice. They call it again split class, but I would call it more of a subclass.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah,
that thing.
I'm pretty sure this idea of split classes goes away in second edition, but
yeah, I would find that using the savant side would make it a more interesting play for a magic user instead of just being the caster. You know, lightning bolt,
fireball, kill everyone.
So,
yeah, so there you go.
Okay, the savant. I don't know if that was the juice we needed. I think Rob, what do you got?
I have we're going back to the editor because
yes,
it's on page 5.
I was going to bring it up if you didn't.
Wow, yeah, because it's a direct assault on myself, I believe.
Yes, yes, it is. Roger Moore watched our, I think it was our last or the one
before, I think, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
I was complaining about the prehistoric mammals, and while I guess a lot of people were complaining about prehistoric mammals because his is a rebuttal for them. Pretty much he says stop bitching about articles that are not medieval stuff, and he literally points out the prehistoric mammal article that I hated.
Yeah, you go, Roger Moore. I mean, I was all in. I was all in with that article.
It's still stupid.
Me too.
It's still stupid. But he just gives ideas of ways to use all the various monsters in regular fantasy, not necessarily playing in that age, but you can add them onto you go to an island that has just these monsters on it kind of thing. Even the Oriental ones, you could just either be in a zoo or wash up, that kind of thing. So it's a good article explaining how you can use these things, and instead of just like my whole thing was why would you want to adventure in that time, but he brings them like you'd bring them into a fantasy world. That's
what I was saying, that they could be a land of the lost.
I don't
have to bring it into that time. We're still finding unknown ecosystems in the rainforest, so you could find that in your fantasy world.
You move one boulder and find a cave into a deep dark recess. Next thing you know,
what is that? Crofton Seals?
Yeah, but if you Crofton Seals is a band, isn't
it? That's I don't know. It's Crofton something.
Yes,
Marty Croft.
Yeah,
Marty Croft and someone else.
Yeah, it's Seals and Croft is the band. Anyways, I just thought dinosaurs are cooler than mammals. That's all I'm saying. That's what my whole point was. If you're gonna have one adventure that you're going to the land of lost, I don't want to be fighting mammals. I want to be fighting dinosaurs. That's all I'm saying.
Roger Moore says, "Stop moving those goalposts. You've been pwned." So,
well,
yes.
Only one of us is still alive. I think actually Roger Moore's still alive.
Oh dear. So he basically said anything that's not Tolkien-esque European medieval, they get comments about. Now,
I get it. I mean, it's everyone just there's a box and people can sometimes fantasize outside that box.
There's two ways to go. You can either go, okay, the fans have spoken, we have it to dedicate to the paying customer.
Wow.
Or you can continue to.
The point is, it's even if the fans have spoken, it's only a vocal minority that's going to send letters in, right? So
it could or could not be. I don't know what
it wouldn't have.
Well, I mean, the only people that would send a letter in would be the people complaining about it, not the people who enjoy it.
But
And
yeah,
yeah.
so you got to ride that. You've got to ride that. And considering we know that the heyday of Dragon Magazine hasn't even come yet, I think they make the right choices along the way.
My point was, even if I hated that article, I wasn't about to cancel my subscription. It was still fine. Like it didn't affect me enough to be like, oh, I hate this whole magazine. Which
Well, I
obviously
mean,
some people overreact.
if we're gonna talk about overreacting like that, I mean, for God's sakes, there were many different Dragon articles in other magazines that were way worse than that.
That's a very good point.
There's whole magazines that were worse than that for sure. Like there were some that were real duds. But
yeah,
they're all good. Oh, also on this, since we're on the same page, the microzines, this microzines letter. This person, it is David Romney, another time traveler, because he pretty much predicts he wants to put all the Dragon magazines on microfilm so you can read them all. But in 10 years they released the CD-ROM that has them all. So he's just a little ahead of his time.
And I can no longer find.
You probably don't have a computer that has a CD-ROM anymore. So
actually, I do.
Really? Wow, your computer must be old.
I do too.
I have a portable and the one that is mounted in the, which I haven't taken out. It just sits there in there.
It's crazy.
It takes up a bay.
Yeah, mine's a DVD something or other.
Mine's actually a DVD writer too.
Yeah, mine too.
Old computers. New computers do not have disk drives.
I am poor. That is the thing. I cannot
afford. But it just gets transferred from one computer to the other when I build it.
Well, new computers are about this big. So.
No, my computer.
Yeah, but
not the cool lighted up ones like I got.
Cool lighted up ones.
Well,
enough about lighted up computers, right, Jack?
Yes, lighted up computers be gone.
I was waiting for Jack to take the reins again.
Rob is wearing his hair shirt. Roger Moore put him in his place, so I think I'd better. That was
R.I.P. Roger Moore. Way to go.
He's currently 68 years old. Happy birthday, Roger. When is his birthday?
We're going to deviate from our.
Well, I don't want to insult the guy. Wow. His birthday is coming up. It's July 11th. That's pretty close. It almost is his birthday.
Oh. I'll have to remember that.
Nice. Okay. So if we could go to my first article, page 26 in the PDF. Andrew Gronowski.
Settle down there, Speedy. This is one of mine too.
So many gods, so little time designing unique clerics and pantheons. The Cole's notes of this is if you wanted to create for any reason a pantheon, whether it's because you're doing a campaign or if your character, which was the more interesting to me, if your character you wanted to play a cleric that was different. He says they've all got the same spells, they've all got the same weapons, they can all use it. So it goes step by step. How would you cultivate a pantheon of or a monotheistic god for your character to worship?
Yeah, that's the part of the article I found interesting because it never even occurred to me, even back then, why didn't anyone play a monotheistic?
Yeah, like you said, it's based on medieval times. Like it's based on real clerics, right? So why wouldn't you ever have a Christian sort of pseudo-Christian?
We're all enamored with the Greeks and.
Well, my favorite part of the article is he says that the Greek and Romans aren't good for in their own stories about gods because they didn't take their own gods serious enough, so it's not good for factual information on their own gods. I thought that was kind of funny. He takes his religion very seriously, this Mr. Gronsky. He also is obviously a Christian because at one point he's like, "Oh yeah, you can use Christianity, but make sure it's pre-Reformation." It's like, "Whoa,
pre-Reformation."
Yeah, I guess so, sir.
You can't have those Lutherans coming out.
Yeah. No binding of Isaac. We that would be wrong. Oh, okay.
The thing I thought was neat was he said praying to one god in a pantheon doesn't make sense because nobody ever did that back in the day. You prayed to all the gods in your pantheon mostly. The exception he didn't really go into, but is Egyptians. He said he said that the Egyptians really didn't like each other. They're different gods, so and they would actually fight because he's like, oh, nobody in the same pantheon would fight each other, but Egyptians would, and they also wouldn't worship different gods. So that's the only exception I could think of. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you'd worship Thor if you wanted a good rainstorm, but you'd worship Odin if you needed some wisdom, or whoever Freya for your hunting or whatever. So it makes sense that you wouldn't just worship one god. Obviously, a cleric would. Like a cleric would have his specific deity, but regular
They would work in
worshippers.
a temple. They would
Yeah.
they would have lay people doing things in their temple, and that temple was dedicated to a god.
Hmm.
But usually, the society at large practiced
Everything, yeah.
like the whole host of
The whole
yeah.
pantheon.
And he touches on all of those things. He touches on what would the purpose of the religion be. He touches on um, what the religion would have effect on all kinds of things. It was a very interesting article, and one that if you were looking through deities and demigods and didn't want to be,
Is it-
have a Danish god or something like that, you would just okay. Can I make a
yeah, you can make your own. Uh, the other thing I like he said about alignments is that God shouldn't really have alignments. It should be more spheres of influence, more important than alignments, right? So you could be if you were a funeral director, you're not necessarily a bad person, but you'd be worshiping one of the quote unquote evil gods because they're the gods of the underworld, right? So there's things like that which it also makes sense. Well, obviously alignment never makes sense anyways, but so especially with worshiping.
right?
Yeah. What else?
So
What do I have there? Oh yeah, he also says don't even have to worship gods at all. You can worship other things like spirits, ancestors, animals, like Shintoism or things like that, right? So like, why would you even have a god to worship? You could be a cleric of. Well, I guess if you're a cleric of nature, it would be a druid, right? But other things, you could be a priest
right.
of Shintoist priest and things like that for sure. So
That yeah, that
or voodoo.
which makes sense as well. If you were to have say I came from a culture that did that, and I'm a cleric of our ancestors or something like that. That's flavor. That allows you to kind of play and get in your head space of what you want to do with the character.
Yeah, even like voodoo is worshiping the what are they called the spirits, whatever, I forget they have a name, the totem spirits. But you don't have to have a voodoo priest as a separate PC class. It's just a priest, right? It's just a cleric, but you could just have a different pantheon of how his spells work and stuff. Like that's just the way it's all flavor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting article for sure.
So yeah, if you fancy making some changes to your campaign or something, it's a nice step by step and what would be required. Good stuff. Okay, we have second articles. Pat, you come on, give it to us.
All right, let's go to page 32.
Fantasy clerics and clerical
Clerics and cleric
fallacies.
fallacies. This is basically, well, it talks about the myth of clerical healing. It really comes down to being an argumentative article claiming that peasants or normal people would fare no better than the real peasants in our world, even with magic healing. Most of his basis is that there wouldn't be enough clerics to heal all the people in the village, and the peasants in the city population that I mean, it just keeps rolling.
They also couldn't afford it. I think that would be the main issue. It's just like now you can't afford it.
Part of the article doesn't even talk about money. It just talks about that they're just not enough. He talks about how many spells you can cast a day per cleric, and you talk about how many clerics are in the city. There's not enough to cover the whole city. Rural villages don't even necessarily have clerics. They might have some holy people, but not clerics that can heal everyone, let alone cure disease. He even talks about we're not even bringing cure disease into this and stuff like that.
My problem with the article was he just says in D&D, and he doesn't say in Orth or in Greyhawk or in Forgotten Realms. He kind
completely
of
different.
says, like, and it's like, well, no, if in a high fantasy campaign where like a Tolkien-esque campaign as opposed to I don't know,
down to earth,
Yeah, like a
Game of
gritty.
Thrones or something like that.
Yeah, it's so wildly different. Just to say, the whole article is based on the fact that in D&D,
Yeah, yeah. It's a
this
little too.
Yeah.
umbrella term, and it's like, well, you're already starting off. I can't track with you.
Yeah, well, I
Sorry.
think the part is he's just comparing the cleric archetype from D&D,
But
using the rules and the way it's built.
yeah,
In a sense, you know what I'm saying? Because he compares how he does go into the how many spells according to the player's handbook, certain level of clerics can cast a
yeah,
day,
yeah.
and how many times they can cast heal. So
But I think really, without talking about how rich people would get better service than the poor people, that's missing a whole
oh, that's not even
part.
what that's yeah. I mean, that's a
Like,
whole nother level
yeah,
of
that's obviously the reason why poor people wouldn't get healed. Like, there's
I
the
would
reason
feel that would
people
be
that poor adventurers don't get resurrected is because it costs too goddamn much.
well, yeah. I mean, it would. That's why I think that goes without saying that you couldn't afford medicine from an apothecary if you're
No,
poor. On top, so you know, it just goes. I just think, in general, poor doesn't get healed as
yeah,
much,
but that's
regardless in fantasy or real.
Yeah,
that's why it
class
wouldn't
warfare
work
is a
really. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously the rich would get all those spells for the day would go to the rich people who could
Mhm.
afford it or who would pay more, right?
Or
It's
make
supply and
donations,
demand, right?
donations.
Yeah, supply and demand.
So
From what we know from society today, even if the wealthiest had an adequate amount of any of the
yeah,
resources that a cleric could do, they would still collect more and more
I
Yeah.
mean,
at the
for argument's sake, and devil's advocate, you're in a world where you're in that Star Trek kind of world where money doesn't get you anything.
Where?
You're still
Not in D and
limited.
D.
I just said
Oh,
devil's
if in
advocate,
that Star Trek world, yeah.
or
Well,
a type of fantasy world that
in
you
Star
play
Trek they
where
cured death, but they forgot about it when when it
yeah.
was
But my
convenient.
point is that even money aside, there's still a limited amount of things you
Yeah,
can do.
but the point is in a D&D in our world is that, like Jack said, even if there is more, the rich would hoard it. So
Well, of course.
that's why.
I mean, I think he stays away that just to make the point that even without money,
Well,
the poor would
I
still.
think he stays with that because he would bring into real life politics.
Well, I
So,
mean, regardless, if you take the money factor out of it, poor are still getting shafted.
always
but this is the 80s, so Reaganomics was in full swing. So that
trickle
money was
down. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Now, trickle down wasn't.
this guy was making bank just being alive. So
Hmm.
he just
Anyways,
didn't have the frame of reference. That's how it worked, right?
he didn't work. He didn't work hard enough. That's his problem.
His bootstraps,
Didn't
he
pull him
did
up.
not pull them.
Yep.
Anywho,
He wanted his little child to die from dysentery.
All right, that's it.
okay.
Jetpack didn't like my dysentery joke.
Yeah, that's
Struck close
so
to
many,
home.
so many child deaths.
No one likes
So many
poop.
child deaths.
No one
No
likes
one likes
poop.
poop.
Everybody loves poop.
No one likes liquid poop.
No, and I gotta kind of wrangle this podcast back into. Um, Rob, what fecal hijinks can you bring into the table? Oh, damn it! I steered into
You
it.
couldn't
I
help it.
should have.
You couldn't help
I
it.
was steering away, and then it went.
We're going to page 54 for The Game Wizards by James M. Ward. This one,
Can't
they ran.
believe all,
What?
all the articles I did that we haven't doubled up on someone yet.
Me and Jack have doubled up.
Oh,
Yeah, the Game Wizards. This one is they ran out of things to talk about in the Game Wizards because AD in 2 issues the big AD
it's just
second
a re-
edition's coming up. So this
the
one's
release
just what's
schedule.
coming up. Yeah, but a lot of cool things are coming up. March 89 is Player's Handbook, second edition. May is the Dungeon Master Guide, so you have to wait 2 months to get the DMG after you get the Player's Handbook, which kind of sucks. June is Monstrous Compendium, and the first mention of the binder set. This is the first mention that it's going to be in a binder. So, that's big news. I hate the
I will
binder.
say I was against the binder.
I hate the
Talk more
binder.
about that when it comes
Yeah,
up.
we'll bring that up later. New Marvel Superheroes box set, which is the one I don't have. It's that weird covered one that's coming out, which has I think Advanced and Basic in the same set. July is Greyhawk box set, which is a great box set with the whole Greyhawk Greyhawk City book box set. September, which I'm amazed I didn't know it was this fast, is Spelljammer. I didn't think Spelljammer came out in the same year that second edition started.
I did
That's
not know that either.
yeah,
I fell into Spelljammer way later in the
yeah.
second edition.
I would never have thought it was as fast. I was like, what? Spelljammer. And obviously, Spelljammer is fantasy space. It's still fantasy, but it's in space. It's very odd. So you can travel from all the different. You can travel
Quote unquote
from
worlds.
yeah,
Yeah,
Kryn
it's
to
You can go
Earth
from
to
Orth to
yeah,
Faerun to what
yeah,
was Kryn
yeah. You can go through all the different worlds. So that's kind of fun.
to Jack's world, whatever that's called. What is the world
the
that you're
the it's kind of like the Marvel's cinematic universe of role playing
Yeah,
games
yeah.
for
where
sure.
you're able to take, hey, I like this, and you want to visit this. I got this book, and yeah, I don't remember Spelljammer taking off this early, but I don't know how much traction it got early. So
Yeah, yeah, I might have taken to the second edition or something to really get going. November is another thing I never thought was as fast. Is they call it the Complete Fighter Manual, but it becomes the Complete Fighter Handbook. That's coming out in November, and the Thieves is in December. So that's I didn't think those were the first year either. I thought those came along after to like revitalize it. I didn't know they were right away. So real interesting some of the stuff. It's funny when you don't remember the timeline that all this new stuff is coming out quick.
Oh yeah.
are they the brown covered?
Yeah,
Is that those ones? Because I have the Thieves one.
I have
Yeah,
the
I have I think I had the first set that came out. I didn't go into I think it ended the first run of them where it ends at the Scientist Handbook.
yeah I have Psionist and Fighter and Thief maybe.
I have Fighter, Magic User, Cleric,
Oh
Thief,
wait,
Scientist.
I think that's the original ones. But they
I
also
think
did
those
the
are the first original five.
they did the blue ones, which were Ida Arms and Equipment, and they had some other ones. And then they did
Yeah.
the historical ones, which were green, I think. And,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of those handbooks because they realized, hey, we could sell we only sell usually to GMs. These handbooks we could sell to players, which
Yeah.
more money, money, money.
I think
And-
what it
and-
is, they took the GW route of codex. So each
Yeah.
class will give you a.
Well, I think this is before codexes. I don't think GW had codexes yet, so I think it's the other way around.
Because they had army books for fantasy.
Yeah, army books. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's right.
I think they saw the niche of people wanting characters that were different and fun, and they were bored with norm, and all it was a couple tweaks, and hey, this is a blurb, and you could fill 20 of those in a book, and people would buy them for.
Yeah, I forget. It was.
forget
I
how
think
much it cost.
they weren't that much. I think they were only like 15 or something at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking the same.
They're like 12 or anywhere from 12 to
Yeah.
15 bucks.
Wow,
depends on where
we're
you're at.
Canadian, so they're probably 15. You were for 12.
I mean,
for
I
you.
could get up and look at one.
I know.
Look at
Mine
the
are,
back.
mine are up there. Anyways, yeah. So it was cool. I just the little timeline for '89 is exciting.
Cool beans. Okay, it's back to me. So I'm going to ask us to go 2 pages down in the PDF,
Oh.
56. An assortment of knives,
Knives.
kniffs, and basically the thesis here is, hey, in the player's handbook, there's 6 different types of swords, but there's one dagger, and and in the arcana, it's a dagger and knife. And he was like, well, where's your throwing knives? Where's your concealable knives? Where's your all the fun knives that
Utility
you'd want to have?
knives, things. Yeah.
So basically, it's a description of each kind, not like a just very specific types, but broad terms, and then it gives you the stats for them, the price, the damage, and all like that. And I think that it was probably overdue.
Yeah, I'm amazed that this kind of thing wasn't already in there. Like we're so used to like once again that Arms on Armor book it has like tons of everything, but they were pretty basic even in second edition. They were pretty basic of what was actually in the list.
Well, they have a million, or in the player's handbook, you had a million freaking pole arms, but
yeah,
you had a throwing knife and a dagger.
yeah,
And
Yep.
the dagger that was mentioned in the player's handbook was a sizable, like just
it wasn't
it had,
concealable like
one
a
purpose.
yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't a little knife. Yeah, yeah.
You weren't going to shiv someone with it.
No, they would notice you pull out a dagger.
So So yeah, is it groundbreaking? No, but what was it, an oversight? Yeah, probably.
I'm amazed it took this long to come out with an article like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. There you
So
go.
that was my article, short and sweet. So I guess that's it for the articles. Good job, guys. I think we can all
I got
high
one.
five.
I have one more actually.
I
You
have
already snuck
three
one
more.
in. You already snuck in a letter from the
It
editor,
was on the
then a
same
letter.
page. That counts.
I have three more.
Okay,
Pat
three
has
more.
3 more.
Come on,
What page, Pat?
come on.
Let's start with page 40.
40. Specializations.
Specializations, cut down to size. So this is basically a redo of the weapon specializations from the Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, but what I call this article is a waste of time because in 2
Yeah.
months it's gonna be.
That's what I'm saying, because this is why I'm going over it real quick. One of my notes is I'm just curious how these revisions are compared to the rules in second edition.
Yeah, these are little.
Which
Yeah.
It's not too far off, but it's definitely
Well,
still.
I think they get rid of that
complicated.
single, double, triple thing. I don't think that's in it. It's just you're specialized in it. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
already
yeah. They get
been
rid of the
mentioned.
single, double, triple.
Yeah.
It's you proficient, and I think you get one specialization of the type of weapon.
Yeah, and you get a bonus
And then-
to hit or something
yeah.
with it. Yeah.
And then, I mean, after reading this, I said these rules just slightly nerfed the OP rules from Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, that's what a big complaint about specializations, and they didn't want them in second edition, which makes it. I think they're an optional rule eventually, but
Yes.
this is definitely because it was way too powerful.
Yeah, we didn't hate specialization, especially in second edition.
No, in second edition it was fun. Yeah,
We used it in second edition, but first edition we're like, ugh.
I liked it in second edition because
Yeah.
you get a bonus because you get this weapon like that's going to be a little bit better, but
Mhm.
you also get a negative if you find a great weapon that's not what you're specialized in. You get it's like well that's not for me then.
Until you train in it, of course.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like anything you do.
Yeah, so I think that it had its pros and cons, which I liked, and I like the idea of having a weapon that you're like, this is the kind of weapon I'm trained in. Like it kind of makes sense. You're not trained in all swords; you're trained in a specific sword. I like it.
So, in 3 months, 2 months, you're going to get the new latest greatest rules. So basically, you're
That's probably why they threw this out so fast. They're like, let's just get this out here before
no
it
one's going to
goes.
care about this because it's going to all go away anyways.
Yeah.
everyone. No one really liked the specialization, and it had already been addressed once in Dragon Magazine. So, yeah.
I do like the picture. I think that's an Elmore too, isn't it? It's the guy with all his holding all the different weapons.
Oh,
He's got a wand in his teeth.
I don't see a signature anywhere.
It looks like the art from what's it called? Dragonlance and all that stuff.
oh, yeah, yeah. I would say it's probably an Elmore
Joint.
from, yeah.
It's probably just a joke he just drew, and they're like, yeah, we can use it for this. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's reused from like an encumbrance or like a Monty Hall or something
Hall.
that he did it as like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and it was. I don't think it fits this article, but I'm glad it's here.
My turn.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. If we're going to brazenly
I'm amazed you didn't
disregard the rules,
I'm amazed, Jack, you didn't do this one because it's Through the Looking Glass on page 68 by Robert Bigelow. The Bigs. First of all, if you go on to page 69, those barbarians and those paladins, I recognize those. I definitely had the paladins. Like those are. It's the same. That's a Todd Meyer guy who we figured out was the co-creator of Ralph Arthur, one of those. But I definitely remember these miniatures, like, because they're like.
I remember the panel of them because that helmet I thought was kind of ridiculous.
Well, and the anti-paladin, I remember that one for sure. But really, I'm here for. I think it's on page. Got to scroll down. It's on page 72. It's the Fortress miniature from GW. They review it, the one we were curious about before, and like we figured out, somebody let us know that it was made out of styrofoam with plastic bits, and the styrofoam had a coating on it, I guess. But this review really rips it apart. He really hated it.
Really?
It's first of all, it's super expensive. Not really though. It's $50, but that's only $130 today for a whole castle. $130 today isn't that bad, but at
That's
the time,
pretty good.
yeah, but at the time that was crazy price. But it's a styrofoam cover with a shell that gets worn down easily, I guess, and disintegrate. And once you get through that shell, it's just little pebbles of styrofoam that just start disintegrating. So he said it's really
the
bad.
pebble styrofoam like you get when you get a table from IKEA.
Yeah, and he said it's got all these bolts on the outside that look, because it's for 40K and for fantasy, and they want to use it for fantasy, so they tried to sand off the bolts because it looks very 40K-ish, and that's when they figured out, oh, you can't sand it very well. They had to create a way to seal it again. The other big thing, which I think is really hilarious because it's very GW, it's not available to purchase. It only 50% of the orders got fulfilled, which is very GW way of doing things, and.
Wow.
This guy who's in this article, that Bigelow guy, he's a store owner, and he said his whole order was canceled, and he talked to GW about it, and I guess whoever was making it for them just couldn't keep up with the demand and stopped making them. So very GW to just not have enough for the general populace. So yeah, I thought that was funny. He also, if we scroll down, he talks about the Gen Con Origins combo. Remember we said that's funny that nobody's talked about it, but he's pretty positive about it because it was all about miniatures. So he's pretty happy about the miniature show at the show. And but the one thing, he's particularly delighted with this new game called BattleTech, and it's not really new at this point. It's about 4 years old, but he describes what I think is the first grinder tournament. He doesn't describe it exactly correctly, but he might have been wrong about how it works. But it sounds like it was the first grinder tournament, so that's kind of fun. And yeah, because he's like, oh yeah, you play with these miniatures, and then when you get killed, you're out, but you're not really out. You just get in the next round. But it sounded like it was because it's the grinder where you try to go as far as you can with whatever mech you start with. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of funny that he actually described it. But other than that, it sounds like the Origins for the miniature side was he was pretty happy with it. So we haven't heard any much about it. We thought it would be a shit show, but we haven't heard anything about it. So far, must have done all right.
Good stuff.
That was my last article, Jack, because I'm a good boy.
Okay, well, no, you've snuck in one at the beginning, and now you're not a good boy. You've shown a modicum of restraint. Well, I'll give you that. But now we've.
I got two quick ones.
What page, Pat?
46.
What is going on here?
This is another Len Carpenter article.
Oh yeah, the same guy
He's
did
really,
the.
he's
He
really
hates
taking
it.
on
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
really taking on Unearthed Arcana in this one.
This guy
So
really
this one-
wishes he wrote Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, so Roll-On is just an expanding of the character creation method number 5 out of the book of Unearthed Arcana. If you don't know what that is, real quick, is that you get a big pool of dice. You pick. Basically, you're going to pick your character type you want to play, and then you get to roll 9 dice for that primary stat, taking the highest 3. And then the secondary primary stat, you roll 8, and so forth till you get down to the thing. The idea behind it is that you're supposed to get higher numbers to make your. But when I rolled a character this way on my phone, just using dice, normal dice, when I was reading this article, I ended up with nothing less than 16 on all my
It's
stats.
way too powerful. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Asinine.
Yeah.
And I'm also old school, and I prefer that you roll your stats, and then that's the character you play.
Wow.
That's what you role play in that sense. That's how I like to play.
I like rolling
That's how
and
I
then
make
assigning. Like I like to be able to roll and then I got a high one. I want to be a fighter. Let me put that on strength.
I don't mind the assigning point rolls afterwards. I prefer to roll and then just play what I get.
Wow. That's could end up really bad because you could have it all in like charisma.
Yeah, but I enjoy that. That's how I like to do it.
Yeah.
But this is where I think with this method number 5 that he's proposing is I think this is where the point system. This is how you want to do. That's how you want if you want to play a certain class, and then you're still going to get a good stat, and then you're going to get regular stats, and not be 16 plus. If you do the points, and the point system comes big in the second edition.
Oh yeah.
But where I take umbrage is that it's a full multiple pages for what could have been a condensed, maybe a paragraph.
Oh, there's a lot of tables that he had because he had the Oriental Adventure classes and everything. It was just a lot. It was 2 pages, but
at the end of the day, he was trying to design a system where you could pick your class with the roles, and he automatically was like, well, that way you can multi-class as this and that, and you
Yeah,
could do this and that. And I was like, oh my god, like
He's a min
you're
maxer.
not
too much.
making,
It
yeah,
was too much. Yeah, it was. But this is not even a min maxer because you never get a min.
Yeah.
It's max max.
It's max maxer.
yeah.
So I mean, I just
There was no throwaway stat.
I didn't like
There was no,
before his revision. I didn't like class 5. After his revision, I definitely don't like.
Because it looks like if you play a cleric or a fighter, only time you're rolling only 3 dice is for comeliness. Everything else you're rolling more than 3 dice.
Yeah, and then what is comeliness? Comeliness doesn't really come in. I mean, so much so that it disappears. It becomes second edition.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. Is there any that only roll 3 dice? I don't think so. Only comeliness says 3. Oh, no. Magic user assassin, split class on charisma, you have to roll a 3. But come on.
But then you're rolling a 9, which is an average. So you're not Quasimodo, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's
just if you want to make a super character and never fail a roll and just breeze through adventures, this is what you're gonna play.
Yeah.
If someone said, "Hey, we're playing Tomb of Horrors. You need to be beefy." Okay, let's use.
Well, no, because beefiness doesn't help. It's the player's brain that needs to be upgraded, and that doesn't help.
Okay, like Tomb of Horrors. Yes,
something more combat oriented.
Yeah. So I mean, and then in retrospect, knowing what we know now, I think the point system is probably the best way to create a character now.
Most games, I think, modern games use point systems. They don't.
Yeah.
There's not many that just do random rolls. There's a lot that do. You have this much pool, and you can assign them where you want. That's pretty much.
And that's fine. I think that's probably best as far as making a balanced character.
That's because that's if you want to make a specific character. That's a good way. Like you say, if you want to make an interesting character, you random ways to do it. Then you have to play that character. That's a lot harder, but it's a lot more fun.
When I'm talking about D&D, first and second, that's what I would do.
Well, that was
because
original.
That's how I like to play. Yeah, that's not even so much the original. I just like the idea of I'm role playing. I'm gonna role play.
I have to role play that this guy's. He's a fighter. Well, you have a certain. You have to. If you're willing to play any class, that's fine. But you could end up with a high intelligence. You're like, God damn it! I have to be a magic user.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind. That's the thing. I have problems with thieves.
The thieves. Well, thieves are pretty one-dimensional.
Yeah. So.
How dare you?
It's hard for me. I mean, I'll do it and I'll have a good time doing it, but it's not my favorite.
Thieves. Anyways, so that's got to be it. We're running. What is it? A 2-hour episode?
We're just gonna run to page 58 real quick, just because we can't forget our good longtime friend Ed Greenwood.
Oh yeah, we have to have an article from Ed Greenwood. Come on, Jack. What are you trying to do here? I know you hate him, but still, you can't cut him out of the show.
Have beef. I don't know. I thought you squashed his beef, but
I'm trying to cut him right out of the show, Jack.
I know. So this is basically more rare beasts for the Forgotten Realm settings. The Glyptar, I think, is the one I'd like to point out. Is there basically gems possessed by the male counterparts of Medusas. And so they can't escape the gem because they're basically rock spirits. If you remember the ecology of the Glyptar, or what were they called again? The Madars. They become insane, so then they become evil gems, and then you can put them on swords, and then the swords become evil and do all weird things. So it's pretty cool. And he's got some weird other creatures here, like a Mage Bane, which is like a
little smoke.
It's invisible and like cast spells and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
The Scythe Tails is a big giant lizard with a scythe tail. And
the Quezer looks like some kind of weird alien thing on your head.
Yeah, and then there's this weird balloon creature that I kind of like too, the Xantravar.
I could kind of see why they didn't make it into.
I was just gonna say, not a single one of these makes it to the.
I wonder if it could be in the Forgotten Realms.
They're in Forgotten Realms, yeah.
It could be in that monsters in the Monster Compendium, because they did have their own separate Forgotten Realms monsters.
Yes,
so I never had that one.
Forgotten Realms appendix or whatever.
So I'm sure
Forgotten Realms gets 2 Monsters Compendium releases.
So I'm sure Ed wrote those, so I'm sure he gets to use his favorite ones. So.
Yeah, and I could always open it up and look. But I just wanted to point out some of these Some of these are really good, some are not so good. Like the Mage Bane is not so good. The Glyptar I love because you think you might have found yourself an awesome gem. Next thing you know, bad things happen.
Or a nice sword that has a evil entity in it. It's always fun.
Yeah. So, but those are all the articles.
See, Jack,
Okay.
we
Bringing Jack's blood pressure back down to normal.
Is the mutiny over? Can
Yeah.
I have two
What's
ads. Does that make it any? Is the mutiny back?
Is that helping?
I got way more ads.
Oh,
This one was pretty heavy for me. The other ones were not so heavy.
Yeah, me too. This one took a long time because there was a lot in it. That I could have talked about more. This was actually a good art for all about clerics. It was a pretty good magazine.
Yeah.
Who's going first, Jack?
Well, since
I think it should be you, Jack.
I was just gonna say I haven't had any input for about 45 minutes now, so we'll start with me and then let the two of you. I'll go. I've got I'm making homemade mozzarella.
I'm hoping you
go.
I'm hoping you choose the one I chose because it's hilarious. So.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to page 91, please.
Yay! That's one of mine. So
it's not one of mine.
Citadel,
Combat cards.
Combat cards. What looks to be a genius collectible card game that uses the artwork from their professionally painted models as just advertisements
and painting guides. They were advertised as painting guides.
It's also it's just top trumps, right? That's how this game works. I think it is. Where like they have stats in the back, and you know how top trumps works. I think that's
the basis of the game, I can tell you because I had the Goblinoid deck. The basis of the game is that there's two different types of attacks: ranged, physical, and I think there's even a second one. You just call it out, and then you both draw the top deck of your card. Whoever's got the highest stat wins.
Yeah, it's top trumps. It's just Usually you play it with sports cards, and you choose their stat that you want to do it. But
that's almost I forgot that. We used to play that with baseball cards.
Yeah.
So yes,
the English did it with the soccer cards back in the football cards back in the day.
What is soccer? What is football?
Soccer.
And war is just with
similar.
Cards.
Yeah.
Like it's
war is like the basic version of it because you only get one stat. Where at the top trumps you get to choose usually a bunch of stats, so it's a little bit more variety. It's a little more fun.
And I won't lie that I used mine as a painting guide too, and they do advertise them as painting guides.
Yeah, it's fun.
But yeah, it's collectible, which is right in their wheelhouse. It's an advertisement for their miniatures right there. Like it's like a white dwarf in your hands, and yeah, like I can't. It's brilliant, and you know what? I have never seen them before, never heard of them. I don't know how well.
I've heard. If you say that, I will tell you that you can get the newer version. It was released in 2017.
Yeah. I've heard of them, yeah. Beaky Space Marines are the only good Space Marines. I said it.
I won't disagree with you. I do like the Knight ones, though, like the Mark IIs and the Mark Ones that look more like actual Knights.
No, they gotta have beaks. It's the only way I like my Space Marines.
Beaks are Mark IV. Also.
Yeah. So, Pat, you got an ad?
Yep, that is me.
One short now, thanks to Jack, but that's good because now it's going to bring his
pressure back. You might steal one of mine, so it could be even shorter.
So let's go to page 38.
Oh, it's close to mine.
Circus Imperium.
Yes, Tog.
Existed.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I remember this.
I didn't realize they had put out a Circus Maximus type game for the Renegade Legion.
Yeah, this is and it has like cardboard buildings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a really good looking track. It's too bad that the miniatures are just cardboard flats.
Yeah, there's not actual miniatures. It's just it's a chit game pretty much.
I mean, because you get this really cool cardboard setup for buildings to raise around the track, and then you put down these little flats you can barely see in the ad.
Yeah, they are even.
I didn't even know they were on the track until you said that. I was like, oh, they are on the track.
Yeah, they do have a couple blown up examples of what might be down there, but yes, it looks impressive even for cardboard.
Oh yeah, I might look for this game too, but I also like impressively it's for 2 to 12 players.
2 to 12, wow. I think it's like Formula Day a bit, but maybe more like Thunder Road, a little bit more
Yeah,
combat.
I'd have to read the rules. I mean, it could even be like the actual Circus Maximus games that was out around the time.
Yeah.
I think Avalon Hill put that game.
Oh, it's 2 different tracks. I wonder if it's just each side. Yep. I like the 3-dimensional structures that would just get in your way, and actually probably nobody would actually play with those on the board.
I would because it's a good picture.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that the vehicles are flat
Yeah.
cardboard stamp, but the actual spectators or drivers, whoever they are standees.
Yeah, like
You can see
FASA had
on the track.
a deal with Ralph Partha. I'm amazed they didn't just make some miniatures.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, they made the Renegade Legion miniatures. I don't know why they couldn't make these chariots.
Well, I guess it was kind of so niche. They probably knew there not many people are buying this game.
I mean, that's true. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just putting my desires on it, not thinking of what other people want. So,
I like the tagline: "Gentlemen, whip your beasts." Okay.
Now that being said, what do you got there, Rob?
We're gonna go page 35. We're just gonna scroll up a bit. It's Central Casting: Heroes of Legend. This is a pretty neat agnostic book that pretty much gives you life paths for any fantasy game. So life paths are like a famous thing for like Cyberpunk, like lots of games use life paths.
Right through this ad thinking it was just a miniature ad.
No, it's this is like a famous series that who is it? Task Force Games do, and it's just to get around the TSR D&D thing. It's for agnostic. It can be for any fantasy game. We can't say the words D&D in our ad, but it is for any fantasy game. But yeah, it's pretty much a character creation system and history creator for. It's around this time. There's a lot of there always has been, but this time I think there's a big amount of these agnostic for D&D, but you can't say they're for D&D games, which eventually causes D&D to just go like, fine, we'll just put out the license that you could just use them. But
what does it hurt at this point if you want to get a backstory for your player character, or if you're DM and you want to, flesh
especially
out
since
some NPCs.
it's not like something that it's not competing with anything TSR did, so I wouldn't know why TSR. Right. I think that's probably why they do eventually put out the open license, is because if it doesn't compete with what they're doing, what do they care?
No, it actually helps your license.
Yeah. If anything, it makes your game more fun.
I mean, it takes 30 years to figure that out, but
yeah. Well, the first open gaming license is coming up not too soon. I think once Wizards of the Coast Wizards of the Coast buys TSR, I think that's when it comes out. So
yeah, I mean, that doesn't happen until 3.
Jack doesn't know. Anyways, Jack, do you have any more ads?
Wizards of the Coast, is that a company? What is that?
I don't think movie? Not yet. I don't think Wizards of the Coast.
Is that a movie? Is that like a shoot off from Lord of the Rings?
I think it's 93. 93 is when Magic comes out, I think. So.
Well, hopefully Wizard of the Coast is still treating the IP properly, and we can.
Wizard of the Coast it was bought by another company, so.
What?
Yeah, a bigger, much eviler company.
Toys R Us bought it.
My favorite thing is there's a YouTuber called Toy Galaxy, and he every time he talks about Hasbro, he always puts up a thing. It's the Hasbro symbol, but it has vampire teeth, and it says "till all are one," because they just keep buying everything. Anyways,
and then
Jack.
Okay.
Any ads?
I got 2 that are really, really.
What about Jack? Jack might have another ad.
No, well, there was only one time when Jack had a second ad.
Everyone knows they don't have a second ad. All I have is the ability to start wrapping this episode up.
No, you don't, because I have the ability to keep going.
All right.
You're a puppet. You're a puppet to my regime.
I'm gonna run through these real quick because
I have another one. So.
Oh, do you really?
Yep.
Well, I'll run through this one real quick. So we go to page 64.
64.
So the Armory. While there's been many of these ads in Dragons Forever, it was this layout that struck a memory for me when me and my friends we talked about. This is back here in Chicago when I was home one summer. We talked about going to see the store because it looked like they had everything.
Well, that I remember those Christmas dice stocking. Like that was always something like that. Oh, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jack had Armory paint until very recently.
Yeah.
So when I saw this layout of the ad, I was like, "Oh yeah, we talked about going to check this stuff out."
Yeah, like
thinking about taking a drive out to Baltimore one day.
Knife sets, the figure cases, the gridded papers, like in this case, it's with hex paper, which is for Bieteltech. So
Yes, so
I
that's
want
all
that.
was.
That paintbrush holder is kind of cool. I like it.
Well, nowadays you can just buy that
I'm
really
sure
cheaply.
you can buy it for MDF.
You can go to
probably.
Michael's and get it.
Yeah, probably even back then you could, but this is all specialty. It's probably was. It's what is it? It's $20 with the brushes. I think it says so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this ad too. This was like the classic Armory ad. It was always very, very similar to this. Fun times. My last ad. Touch base with the history. My last ad's on page 107. I'm amazed Jack didn't pick this ad.
That is actually my last article too.
Jack, it's called Fist.
That's
It's Steve Jackson, no less.
a little lowbrow for me. My comedies.
It shouldn't be.
Fist.
Where this thing goes, you could go so far with it.
Fist is an exciting new concept in fantasy gaming.
It's play by telephone, Jack.
Play by telephone. But I want to be Fist.
I put in my notes here. I don't remember this, but I definitely do think that this is at the time of the budding of the fantasy call lines that you would see late at night. Call 1-800.
Or video games
Talk
too.
to
Probably
me.
were starting at this time too. Those video games hint lines and stuff.
Yeah,
But it's
but
that
more
magic.
so the fantasy call lines.
Yeah. Well, the sexy ones. Yeah. But it's like that magic time between play by mail and the internet. It's it's like 3 years right here, where it's just like, oh, let's do it by telephone. Does it say how much it costs?
Yes, all calls charge 60 cents per minute.
Whew.
Yeah. Just like the sexy lines.
That's a lot.
And probably just like the sexy lines, it's about 3 minutes of preamble.
Mhm.
Come on, let's get to it. And then famously, they would string people along for 15, 20 minutes without ever doing anything, and then click. Oh, okay.
So you know you have $100 phone charge on your bill.
Classic Fist maneuver.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're not saying Steve Jackson did that. We're saying the sexy people did that. Steve Jackson probably was very honorable with his. Which Steve Jackson is this, anyways? Is this American Steve Jackson or British? I assume it's American Steve. Oh no, it says available for the first time in USA. So it sounds like it was a British thing that they brought to the States.
Yeah, British Steve Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, now it makes all more sense.
Damn British
because
people.
It says it's only available in certain area codes, so I don't know where the 914 area code is or what the. So
does it say that?
I don't know how
available in 212, which is New York, 718. Also, these are all East Coast areas.
Are they?
Yeah, 212 is New York.
There you go.
So I don't know how many people actually were able to utilize this, but you're right. It's a small weird thing that appered in a crack in the pavement. That one little flower that came up and was surely dead within I don't know 2 years.
If that.
Couldn't imagine. Yeah.
Because the internet, it was definitely by _93 we were going on the internet for sure.
And video games, and you had everything. Like I can't.
Yeah, Nintendo. Well, what's it called? Sorry, the Nintendo and Master System come out in '89, I think, or even before that. Maybe I'm sure I had a Master System in '89, '88, maybe even. So that's the video game revolution that's going to really murder a lot of this stuff is coming.
Yeah. Unless there's a California Games by Mail or a California Games by Telephone, Rob, he doesn't want anything to do with it.
It's true.
You guys know what the area code for Buffalo is?
No.
716.
Oh yeah, Jack would know.
No, that's Ottawa 716.
He's got hoes in different area codes.
Buffalo is.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah, these are all main New York area codes. I've just been looking.
That makes sense. Yeah. I like how it doesn't have an area code in the number though. It's just 540-3478.
I think you use your area code that you're calling from.
I don't think you had area codes back then.
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Remember, because
back in the day, you had to dial the area. If like when I had to call, I think my cousins were 7. When they changed, they went to 630, and then we were still 312. So they called them, which was only basically by Schaumburg, we had to dial the 630 area code.
Oh, otherwise, if it was in the same area code, you wouldn't have to dial the area code.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it was long.
That's probably why. When I was a little kid, I probably never dialed anywhere outside my area code. That's why I never thought about it.
Like we could, it was local to Niagara Falls, but if you went past that, St. Catharines or anything like that,
it was long distance. It's funny.
It was long distance, and you were charged for it.
Crazy times, eh? When it's that
wild.
Yeah. Is there any more ads? I think that was it, right, Pat? Is that your last one?
That's it for me. Yeah,
cool.
we shared the last one.
See, Jack, we're good. We're efficient. We share.
Okay. Must have been a 15-hour episode, but we finally.
They're always the longest when Jack's the host.
Our desiccated corpses will rest here, victims of our own hubris.
Yeah, but we didn't die of dysentery though.
Yes.
No,
we made it over the Oregon Trail.
No fecal heat to be had.
There was some cannibalism, but that's
fecal heat. Jesus Christ.
He loves that word.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for following along with us. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Come back next week. We're going to do this all over again.
Correct.
Rob makes me point down at the floor, and then
like, subscribe, and please comment and anything. We'd love to chat with you guys.
I asked you to comment on something earlier. That's the no prize. I don't remember what I asked you to comment on, but please comment on that.
Yeah, I think.
I don't remember either. You did ask someone. I can't remember what we talked about.
It was something stupid that we're like, I don't know. Anyways, are we done? Are we leaving now? Bye-bye.
Let's get out of here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's say goodbye to our Aussie friend, too, who helped us with that territory.
Never.